222 megahertz. Why is no one making radios for it? If you are an amateur radio operator in the USA, you probably know about the 222 megahertz band, or simply 220, or 1.25 meters as it's called. But why are there almost no radios for it? Let's find out. 222 megahertz is perhaps one of the most undersold bands in all of amateur radio, relative to 2 meters, 70 centimeters, or even 6 meters, and of course all of HF. Fewer people get on the band, and a lot of this has to do with the availability of radios for the band. If you look at some of the popular radios today, you'll see that only a few have that band. There are also no current radios that have support for the band on any modes other than FM. If you want to operate SSB or CW, nothing current from the big three, ICOM, Kenwood, or Yaesu, has support for it. If you want to operate C4FM System Fusion, I don't see any radios that support it. D-Star, no ICOM radios support the band, but oddly enough, the Kenwood TH-D74A does support it. But that radio is now out of production. You may be able to get a commercial radio or one of the Chinese radios that support the band on DMR, but I haven't seen any DMR repeaters that support it. Alinco seems to be the only one who produces a radio dedicated to the band. Among the Chinese radio manufacturers, Baofeng sort of produces one, but I was told that it's questionable and may operate at a lower power and possibly not so good signal quality. Oshing does produce a radio for the band, but these are still FM only and not other modes. And yes, this band does have a history. The band was first officially recognized in 1933, and first proof of concept of operation happened in 1934. In 1938, the FCC gave us amateurs privileges on two VHF bands, 2.5 meters, 112 megahertz, and 1.25 meters, 224 megahertz. Both of these were harmonics of the then allocated 5-meter band, which was 56 to 64 megahertz, or megacycles as they were called back then. Later on, the FCC moved the VHF allocation to 144 to 148 megahertz, which is the 2-meter band, and moved the 1.25 meter band to 220 to 225 megahertz. In the 1970s, the FCC tried to reallocate the band for a CB radio service on VHF, but due to opposition from the ARL and other groups in the amateur radio service, that proposal was dropped. I guess the sting from the loss of 11 meters was too much to bear. In the 1980s, UPS successfully petitioned the FCC to get a portion of the band, citing lack of use in the band. And of course, my dear friend, Silent Key, Steve Mendelson, W2ML, back then he was WA2DHF, who was an ARRL vice president at the time, I believe, can be seen here haranguing the FCC to get that part of the band back. Let's take a look.
You mean, this is Steve Mendelson, and he's here to make trouble? And that?
I want my portion of the 220 band back. Either I get my portion of the 220 band, or I'm taking some of your 890, I'm taking some of your land mobile at 460, and I am going to sell it. Now, I was told by my president that I could sell frequencies, and you at the FCC are telling me I can't?
As a matter of fact, we heard you were selling frequencies. Come on in, boys. We got them.
Oh, geez, guys. It was a joke. Behind my back.
So UPS never used the allocation and the band fell into disuse. The FCC then took it back, and the latest is that the frequencies are to be used for positive train control. Moral of the story, use it or lose it, and you're not getting it back if you don't use it. But why no radios? Well, this one is not quite clear, but there appear to be two reasons. One of them is that the band isn't allocated worldwide. Outside of IT Region 2, which is the Americas, there are no 222 megahertz allocations except for Somalia. There are especially no allocations in Japan, and since 3 of the major amateur radio equipment manufacturers are in Japan, there is really limited reason to justify the expense of R&D for a 222 megahertz radio there. Another reason is that in the 1970s, when VHF UHF use was exploding and repeaters were being put up, a lot of radio amateurs and repeater owners used repurposed and commercial equipment. There were really no land mobile commercial allocations near the 220 megahertz because it was kind of sandwiched in between TV channels. So there was a scarcity of equipment to be repurposed for the band. On the other hand, there was plenty available near the 2 meters and 70 centimeters, so many were able to repurpose commercial equipment and get on the band. So how do you get on the band? Well, as mentioned, you can buy an FM radio, but FM is only half the fun. If you want to do Morse code or single sideband or maybe FT8, maybe take part in a VHF contest or chase some grid squares, you can use what is called a transverter. So a transverter basically takes the output of your HF transceiver and then upconverts it to the desired frequency. And it takes the input from the antenna and downconverts it, usually to the 10-meter band, which has the bandwidth, usually. Some may scoff at this, but in many cases it actually yields better performance than many transceivers purpose-built for a particular band. And it allows you to use your HF transceiver, which has some great features on it. And in some radios like the Flex series, you can program the display to show the converted frequency. So it's seamless. Some radios actually do this natively, like the ICOM 9700, which uses a built-in transverter for the higher bands. That radio has direct sampling for the lower bands, and of course the transverter for the higher bands. Now, I wish more manufacturers would do purpose-built radios, but we'll have to either ask them or wait and see. And on that note, see you in another video. Peace and 73.